in yet another embarrassing blow for this incredibly incompetent government that's only in power due to the just incredible incompetence of the Conservatives. It's almost like, there is our government, due to two-party system, is doomed to repeat the failures of the past and to elect, force the public to elect the so-called less of the two evils, which end up to becoming a new evil that carries on and holds the baton of evil. So Keir Starmer's party has been humiliated by the ban on Palestine action being ruled as unlawful due to the challenge from Palestine action itself. Now, this is it's incredible that we're having this discussion in 2026 when we studied in school. We know that collective punishment of minority groups, of any group, is racist, and it's incredibly cruel, and it's evil. It's beyond what we are supposed to believe in. And yet, in the last 3 years, we have witnessed a genocide where whole swaths of people of a certain ethnicity within a certain geographical area have been targeted. Children, babies, elderly people, disabled people, men, women, they've been targeted. Now, in not just targeted, but in a systematic effort to erase and to simply, mow the lawn of its citizens. Because what people don't understand is that genocide is not the end goal of any evil empire. For the Nazis, genocide was not the end goal. Their end goal was to create their Aryan utopia. Genocide is a tool. Genocide is a tool to create or achieve a military goal, and to achieve it's a kind of stepping stone to achieving whatever your utopian vision is. So, in a case of the Nazi Party, they did not eliminate every Jewish person. They if they had, obviously, you wouldn't have survivors. You wouldn't have, but they were able. Their goal was to quarantine, separate them from the rest of the population, and to slowly eliminate them or work them to death. But nobody's saying that there is no genocide because they hadn't killed everyone off. You see, genocide was merely a tool in order to achieve their utopia of achieving their Aryan empire. In the same case, the genocide in Gaza is a tool to achieve their military goal of having this greater Israel project without any kind of resistance, without the reminder even of the original inhabitants, the Canaanite descendants that were there thousands and thousands of years prior to even the invention of the Abrahamic religions. It's something that's been overlooked. It's a genealogical studies that show that the modern day Palestinians, the Lebanese, their ancestors go back a long, long way to the Bronze Age and pre-Bronze Age Canaanites, and even prior, civilizations. They are more indigenous to that land than the Ashkenazi Jews, even though they do have some sort of shared ancestral, origins back, thousands of years, even prior to the invention, the creation of the Abrahamic religions. But the Palestinians are the more obviously they have a stronger connection to the land. They have not, the whole notion that simply because of these caliphate or these Islamic empires that spread into Palestine means that the Palestinians are no longer original inhabitants. Well, that makes no sense, simply because an empire has stretched into and has colonized, or it has, has taken over the leadership of a country, doesn't necessarily mean that the inhabitants have been replaced. Just look at India. The British Empire did not replace the Indians that were living there. They merely took over the kind of rulership of that country, and when the British left, the Indians remained. They were there before the British came, and they're there following the British leaving. So the Palestinians are there, the indigenous people. Now, the what I'm getting at is that the incredible immorality of our government, which is basically capitulating to those who have power, who have money, and they're capitulating to kind of the geopolitical arrangement between the US, the UK, Israel, in just in this unspoken and spoken agreement that Israel can do what they please and can genocide whole people, kill as many people as possible, and we will never forget that. But the genocide is confirmed. Dozens of human rights organizations, from Save the Children, International, UNICEF, to Oxfam, to Israel-based human rights organizations, have all confirmed that a genocide has occurred or is happening in Gaza. So, there's no question about it. This is confirmed by the quotations by the very people in charge of Israel, of his government, and of course, it's shown. People are self-reporting their own crimes. The army of Israel self-reporting the crimes they're committing, in the elimination, the targeting, the barbaric methods used to eliminate Palestinians, carte blanche. So the genocide is happening. Not only is the UK government, not only are they turning their heads away from the genocide, but they are actively supporting the genocide. And to make matters worse, instead of actually being beholden to the standing of international law, as should be in a just and fair society that is based on human rights and logic and rationality and fairness. Instead, they are clamping down on those who are opposing genocide. So it's an insult upon insult. They facilitate a genocide, and then they turn their heads towards those who are opposing the genocide, and criminalizing opposition of it. If a genocide is happening, then surely this is the crime of all crimes. And then you throw into the mix another humiliation of the Labour Party recent weeks, but I think we should never forget it, that the very so-called New Labour, the Tony Blairites of the Labour Party, which I would call the right wing of the Labour Party, even the centre of the Labour Party, the centrists, the so-called sensible centrists, which are really just right-wingers. Peter Mandelson, very much complicit with the current genocide, but also a man who was shared government secrets and spoke candidly and openly with his best pal, Jeffrey Epstein. It's almost like Jimmy Savile and Margaret Thatcher all over again. But the UK government has to understand the current incumbent government, led by Keir Starmer, which is a different branch of the Labour Party from its foundation to the one led by Jeremy Corbyn, is got all these it's got the dirt kind of, and it's completely complicit and is completely guilty with the moral erosion, the moral degradation that comes with supporting someone like Peter Mandelson. This is a man who, despite his connection with Jeffrey Epstein, despite being in contact with Jeffrey Epstein after his conviction, he was still made the ambassador um, to the US, the UK ambassador to the US, and this goes to show the just incredible power and the influence and the the kind of the hegemonic power that comes with supporting the status quo of Israel and US and their partnerships. Um, it doesn't matter if you are a PDF file or or a friend of a PDF file. What matters is that you're not opposing this kind of this this world order that supports Israel at no matter what. This world order that supports the immoral actions of the US in support, and whatever they seek, whether it's oil from Venezuela or Iraq, whether there's no end to um, this this supporting the establishment and the power grab of these Western powers at no matter what, as long as it's of it's of countries that are not in the West. Of course, you can invade Venezuela, you can invade Iraq for oil, but you cannot possibly even have a fraction of that threat on Greenland, which is, of course, within the EU, or rather the European continent. Because, of course, these people are racists, fundamentally, or these people believe that they're inherently superior, which is not based on liberal Enlightenment values, because to some extent they are overlooking the fact that, you know, our commitment to rationality and logic um, should not somehow, you know, be discarded when applying it to people who are of a different color, different region of the world. We should apply the same, understanding of, innocence until proven guilty, innocence of the individual who's simply born into a community, um, rather than simply casting them as just rejects or unworthy of life simply because they do not fit the convenience of the hegemonic puzzle. They do not fit the convenience of what is convenient, what is meaningful, and what is important to the military power that want to seek power and to seek oil or monetary value from these regions within the world that are not as connected as, let's say, those countries in the EU. Anyways, we're going to talk more of this, how this so-called the kind of the establishment hegemony, this connection, this conglomerates of military, of corporations, of partnerships. It's all there just to protect the whole notion of might makes right, despite what the Democrats, the so-called Labour Party, even though they no longer support the working class, they are all there to simply support power for the sake of power. And we, as the people, we need to understand that we need to come together and to really support democracy, because we cannot be beholden to these power that play these hugely powerful entities that have great amount of influence over us and disregard and have a disdain and a hatred for democracy in a true sense. I mean, was there ever any kind of vote on Palantir being used and in the management of our personal data with regards to its application in NHS, which is a military company and that uses AI that has been used in Gaza to simply attack children, men, women. It it makes no sense unless you are complicit, unless you support the logic, the moral logic of simply might makes right, which means who knows what that data will be used for? Who knows the sort of people who would use that data would use it for? Anyways, so much more to discuss. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.